Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the number one college podcast in the world right now, Barry and Vilv. My name is Barry.
This is Vilv, and on today's episode, we will be talking about the FAFSA application, early admissions. And to do that, we actually have a very special guest on board with us that I will be introducing shortly. But before I do that, I just wanted to address last week's episode. We took a lot of you guys' feedback. I hope you guys can see the difference. I think we believe there was a lot of difference in the audio quality. The video, if you guys have seen the YouTube video, you guys might have noticed that the video, we didn't do a lot of editing. It's kind of like one take with an angle showing both of us. And we kind of apologize for that. It's basically because both me and Barry were like crazy busy. Last week we had what we call in Georgia like Hell Week. We had a lot of midterms and labs due. So it was like, yeah, we kind of put together the episode because we want to be consistent. But definitely the content there is still very, very high quality. At least that's what we're striving to be and keeping it. But definitely give it a listen. Follow us on all social media. We're on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, and Instagram. So leave us a like and comment down there, and let us know what you guys want us to talk about in future episodes, and just let us know what you think about the episodes so far. Barry?
Yeah, absolutely, Vilv. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, you all, last episode, we actually took all the feedback you all gave us on the first episode, and we improved. I mean, we think that we improved in terms of like sound quality. We hope you notice a difference. If you haven't checked out episode 2 yet, come on, what are you doing, man? Please go check it out. And yeah, please continue giving us feedback in different ways that we can improve. We value you all's feedback, and yeah, we are still here, serving you all. We are committed to sharing like real news because we are, again, number one college podcast. We are the real deal. You already know that. But yeah, let's jump right in. But before we do that, Bill, going back to our special guest today, would you like to introduce him?
Yeah, absolutely. So this guy is a very good friend of mine. I've known him for the last 2 decades almost. I'm only 21, so that gives you a hint about how close we are. We've literally grown up together. He's one of my best friends in the world, all the way from Broward College, Miami, Florida. Soon to be a Gator, hopefully. Yes, Mr. Fahmi Rokon Opal, please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. I'm blushing right now. You can't tell, but thank you very much. Yes, I've known this guy for like my entire life, and I love this man to the moon and back. As they say, it's true. He's one of my best friends as well. I love him. And I'm very honored to be one of the first few guests on Barry and Vilv, the number one college podcast in the world. I'm very honored. And they're right. Their second episodes were really good. Like, yes, the production quality on the video might have dropped a little bit, but the audio is amazing. The audio improved significantly, and what the details and things they talk about in the video for the second episode goes hand in hand to the podcast video version, because they were very busy, as they said in the second episode, that college schedules don't always work out. You have to be adaptable, and it fit perfectly, the video production, because the episode 1, it like the video, amazing, right? Episode 2, the video dropped a little bit, but the audio was so much better. So I really think you guys should go listen to it, go watch it. Barry and Vilv, they're on everywhere, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Check them out; they're amazing. So I'm on their podcast.
Thank you so much for the kind words, man. I really appreciate you, Fahmi.
Thank you very much. I'm honored. As I said, I'm very happy to be here.
No, absolutely. So, Fahmi, let's get right into it. Can you tell us a bit about your FAFSA experience and what FAFSA actually is? So, as far as I understand, I will put my hands up. I've never had to deal with FAFSA because I'm an international student, but I know that Barry has definitely dealt with it. I know you've dealt with it right now. I think this is your first time actually applying for FAFSA, but you know a lot about FAFSA, being, you're right now a resident. So I know that application just opened last week. So for someone like me or someone who's just getting into FAFSA or learning about FAFSA, going to college, can you tell us what FAFSA is? What does FAFSA even stand for?
So thank you for that. Yes, I was an international student too, but now that I'm a resident, I'm eligible to apply for FAFSA. It's for U.S. residents and citizens. It's FAFSA. It's an acronym that stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. So it's a form that you fill out with your like identifying yourself, your income, and your parents' income. What it basically does is it tells the government or how much you can afford. It gives you once you fill it out, at the end of the form, it gives you a 6 or 5 digit code that says it's called an EFC code, which stands for Estimated Family Contribution. This code helps determine like how much you can expect to be paid, like your parents like to pay for you or your family pays for you, or like how much you can afford to pay. And if that comes to a lower level or lower score code, what the government does is government gives you a grant called a Pell Grant, where it's a lump sum of money they give you to spend towards your education. Filling out the FAFSA with that and getting that EFC code helps you to apply for other scholarships as well, because a lot of private scholarship and extra outside of your school scholarship, they look at you and they ask like, have you filled in your FAFSA and what was your EFC code? So it's very important to have it filled out. And as you mentioned, yes, it opened up last week, I think October 2nd, and it's first come first serve type of thing. The sooner you apply, the better. And yeah, it's a great program that the government has, and like every year you're in education, whether it's a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or even a PhD, you should apply every year, right? So even if you don't think you won't get any money, it's still better to apply, because then like you never know, you still might get a lump sum of money, and extra cash towards education always helps.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that was a pretty good description about what FAFSA was. But Barry, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely, man. Well, first of all, I mean, you did a great job explaining, what FAFSA stands for and what this form is actually all about. I guess I could take it here and actually discuss a couple reasons why this FAFSA document is really important, right? Number one, the first F in FAFSA is free, right? This application is free, guys. Come on, y'all. This is like free money, basically, right? It doesn't cost you anything to submit the application. Like, why would you, why would you like just give up free money on the table, right? So not only is it free, as Famir mentioned, it is also very, very simple and it's actually fast to complete. On average, I think it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to complete this application. Now, I'll tell you this: I'm a business student here at Georgia Tech, right? And I'm gonna trade 30 minutes of my time to possibly get a Pell Grant later on that will help me cover for school. If you ask me, that's a great return on investment. 30 minutes, and I can potentially get $3,000 to cover for my semester. That's a high return on investment, man. It didn't cost me anything, man. But yeah, that's just like the first reason.
Number two, that's like $6,000 an hour. That's like Jeff Bezos.
Yeah,
that's Jeff Bezos money right there, man.
Yeah, that's some Bezos money right there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. If I can make that kind of money every day, shoot, man. Bill, listen, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me go on to the next point. Another reason why this document is really important is because there's actually serious money on the table, right? Now, some people oftentimes I hear they say, "Oh, I don't think I qualify, so I'm not going to go ahead and waste my time." Well, but the thing is, my advice is, hey, even if you don't think you qualify, again, 30 minutes, just 30 minutes out of your day, and who knows, you could be eligible for a grant as well. There is serious money. I know for me at least, I've gotten the Pell Grant, so far all 3 years. I've been here at Georgia Tech for 3 years, and I've gotten the Pell Grant all 3 years. And best believe that Pell Grant has significantly helped me out so far. And a next point that I want to address is that this FAFSA is important for the school, to have their own records. And as for me, like hinted earlier, it is also important for other private scholarships, right? Number one, it is important for the school because the school uses that to determine how much aid they can provide you, right? Let's say, for example, your EFC is zero, your expected family contribution is zero, meaning that your family cannot afford anything to cover for your cost of attendance, right? The school can take that data and be like, okay, this individual here, his parents cannot afford it is zero. Then, okay, so how much from from our resources, how much can we give out to this individual, and that's how like loans are determined. That's how institutional scholarships are determined. And yeah, so like I said, it is very important for the school to have this data. And also, on the other hand, some scholarships find this data very useful as well, especially some private scholarships. I know I've applied to a couple ones. Sometimes they ask you for your EFC, right? Because they don't just want to give out, especially those those need-based scholarships. They don't want to just give out any random scholarships for people who can actually afford college. If they can clearly see that your estimated family contribution is not that high, then they're more likely to to award you this scholarship. And last but not least, the last reason why this application is important, Vilv and Famid actually hinted to this earlier. It is first come, first serve, right? According to my knowledge, at least. Yes, the application actually opened last week, I believe October 1st or October 2nd. I don't know about other universities, but for Georgia Tech at least, for all of my tech viewers, come on, listen up, y'all. For Georgia Tech at least, if you want to be considered for institutional aid for the next academic school year, they require you to submit the FAFSA application as well as the Georgia Tech financial aid application by, I think, January 30th or January 25th, sometime in January. Right? That's if you want to be considered for some sort of aid. Now, my recommendation is do not wait until January, because these schools, they're not on unlimited funding. They don't have money just coming from all over the place. It's first come, first serve. So if you submit your application like earlier on, like in the month of October, in my opinion, you have a higher chance of actually receiving some sort of assistance. And yeah, so that was just a couple of reasons why I think the FAFSA application is really important. Come on, I can't stress this out enough. Like, this is like potentially free money. That's just sitting there for us. We
Yeah,
gotta take
so
advantage. Yeah, please, Bill.
I guess what I was gonna ask, from a person who doesn't really know much about FAFSA, is that you said it was first come, first serve, but there's also, you said there's good amount of money on the table. So there's money from the government to be spent towards people's education as a form of FAFSA scholarships, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, scholarship, or mostly like grant, right?
Right.
So part of the FAFSA, after your EFC is determined, right? The federal government can then know, okay, how much can they give this student in terms of a Pell Grant? Grants are different from loans, in that you don't have to repay them, right? So I think if your EFC is zero, that's like the minimum, right? That means like your parents cannot afford to help you with college at all. Then the federal government will give you the max Pell Grant, which is available. I think is 6,000 a year, so 3,000 per semester. But let's say, for example, your EFC is like 2,500, like, or 3,000. Then in that case, yes, you won't get the full $6,000 a year from the federal government, but you will still get some change. Like, I think you would still get like $2,000 a semester, which is still pretty good,
Gotcha,
right?
gotcha.
And the logic is, the higher your EFC, the less the federal government would give
Yeah,
you in
I mean,
terms of grants.
I guess that makes sense. I guess, I mean,
Yeah,
the more you can your family can contribute it towards your education, the less
right.
money you get. But I guess I'm gonna go back to Famid here. I'm just gonna ask you, bro. Like, so is that how's your personal experience been with applying for FAFSA the first time? And is the admissions like is the application like rolling basis? Is like, because you said first comes first serve? Like, how is there any difficulties you face when you tried to apply for it? So yeah.
So for me, because like initially I started my college as an international student, so and then I became a resident. So the first thing I had to sort out is to make sure my college know that I'm gonna pay in state now, and like switch over from a international student to a resident tuition, because like, or else like the system won't click, or like they won't send over the FAFSA from the government to my school. So when you go to fill out your FAFSA, I think they let you no, not actually, I know they let you list 10 schools, right? And make sure that one of the schools you list there is a school you're attending or you're planning to attend. Because what the government does is, as soon as you get approved for that FAFSA, they send over that information and fund to that specific school, and and then it just starts showing you on your single login. When you log in, it should show that when you receive financial aid, and then it breaks it down that like if you pick courses, it will show like these courses have been paid for, like this percentage by this scholarship or this grant, right? And then later on, uh, what happened with me at least is after paying off my courses, the extra fund, the school sees like if I have any books to pay for or something else. If everything else is paid for, the excess fund they just transfer back over to me, and now I can use that money towards like if I need a laptop for school, if I need other financial like if I have other financial needs, I can use that money for that. So that's why I'm saying applying for the FAFSA is important. It doesn't matter if you think you qualify or not, just apply it every year, right? Because extra cash always helps. It doesn't hurt.
Right. Right. And now, so from what I'm understanding is there's really no negative to actually applying here, except for maybe the 30 minutes you lose in the application, unless you're making money that's, yeah, I guess that makes sense for you not to apply for FAFSA. But I guess the only negative I would try to dig at, I don't know if this is even a thing, is that does it impact your admissions decision in any way?
I don't think it impacts your admission. So a lot of people don't want to disclose like how much they make. That's one thing you have to disclose, and like they'll check with the IRS to make sure that you're not lying about how much you're making, right? I think that's one thing people don't want to disclose. But if you don't have a problem with that, no, I don't think the FAFSA affects your admissions anyway, right? It's like I've listed schools I want to attend in the future as well. And like if you do it faster, like that school kind of has a information about you. So when you do apply for a transfer major or like they'll know who you are beforehand because there's a profile of your information there already because the government sent it. It's not even you sending it because you listed that school in your FAFSA. They send your information over there and they already profile you over there. So even when you apply, they'll know who you are, so I think it's better to fill the FAFSA rather than not. And there's no negative towards admissions for
Yeah,
filling.
Got
and I just wanted to add on to this real quick, Bill. And yeah, for me, yeah. I mean, personally, yeah, I don't think there's like any negative effect in terms of your like admission. The only thing that will affect is how much the school can offer you like financial aid. But in terms of like admission, I don't think your FAFSA plays like any I don't think like it has like any weight in
right.
terms of like you actually being accepted into the school, you know.
Right. See, the reason I'm asking this is because when I was applying, because most public schools don't really give international students money. There's some scholarships that they give, but Georgia Tech is not really one of those schools that gives a lot of those scholarships to international students. So I was looking at a lot of private schools, so your Ivy Leagues or a lot of higher top tier private schools that actually give a lot of money to everybody. But I know that their need-based financial aid system, the way it works is that it really impacts your chances of getting in, because
Mm.
based on the amount of money you ask for or amount of money you will be able to pay that you indicate in your application, it does take a toll on your chances of getting in. And they actually tell you this. I'm pretty sure they're pretty transparent about this, that if you want need-based financial aid, we will give it to you, but it will most likely have an impact on our admissions decision. So that's, I guess, the reason I was asking from my end. But uh, other than that, like, what about you, Barry? Like, how has your personal experience been with FAFSA, applying for FAFSA?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I guess I can talk here about like my first generation side. So um, I think I mentioned this in the very first episode. I'm a first generation student. First individual in my family to actually go to college, and hopefully we'll be the first to actually get out of college, right? But yeah, in terms of this experience, when I was applying to college, my parents really weren't there to kind of like help me with this whole thing. I kind of like had to figure out a lot of things on my own. So bro, I remember like filling out the application. I was doing it myself, and then like whatever, and then whenever they asked me for some parental like information, I would go quickly, hey mom, dad, I need this information right now. Give it to me because I gotta fill out this application. Like I was basically just doing it all on my own. But yeah, I yes, I also applied. I applied to the FAFSA when it first opened back in October of 2020. I was a senior in high school, but in my freshman year, and my high school did a great job actually emphasizing this because a lot of the schools that I was applying to at that time October, November, they all required your FAFSA, right? So I've had like a very long experience with this, and like I said, it has paid off over the past 3 years. You know, like I complete it every time, on time, and so far I've been fortunate enough to get some sort of federal grants from the federal government. But now I would say this, you know, sometimes there is a caveat in terms of the FAFSA application. There's this thing called Fafsa Verification, right? Now, that's pretty common. So if you get FAFSA verified, like, don't panic, don't freak out, because I know I did. When I first got FAFSA verified, I thought, oh, wait a minute, like did I do anything wrong in my application, or did I not input the correct financials? But don't freak out. That's normal. Basically, like, what it is, once you get FAFSA verified, that's more so like the school wanting more information based on what you inputted. So I remember, I think I actually got FAFSA verified like twice, actually. And oh, I don't know what I did in my application. I don't know what I was doing. But no, I think I got, what was it, twice or all 3 times I got FAFSA verified? I don't know, but it is normal. And basically, like, all of those times, the school was just telling me, hey, you know, upload more information, or like upload a screenshot of your parents' like taxes. I guess they just want to like make sure everything is adding up, and just
right, they're just, they're the, the government entity, so they're just
oh yeah,
the
exactly.
person who really needs it is actually getting the money. That's fair enough. I mean, you expect them to do that, but
exactly,
so
yeah.
I think that's pretty much a lot about FAFSA. I mean, we have our guests today on. I'll ask you some, I guess, questions
So
on your end.
I want to add one more thing to what Vilv said earlier on about Ivy League. The FAFSA actually helps for Ivy League schools too. So if you do get into Ivy League, first of all, congratulations. Most Ivy League schools apply you to pay tuition on a sliding scale. And on your FAFSA, if you have a very low EFC score, you could attend an Ivy League school for free. So
that's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, so if you do go get into an Ivy League school, congratulations, and you should always have your FAFSA, because if you have a low EFC score, they'll let you play on a sliding scale, because they see how much your parents make, and they'll give you your tuition based on that. So yeah, attending Harvard could be very expensive for some people, or it could be, as I said, it could be free for some people. Again, depending on your FAFSA and EFC score, it's a really important form to fill out. So that's just one thing I want to add to what Phil said earlier on.
Oh, that's great. I think that's a really good piece of information for people, because I know everybody tries to at least apply to one type of Ivy League school, whether they think they will get in or not. It's just a shot in the dark, pretty much. But I think this is a good time to segue into our second topic. We don't have a lot of time left on this podcast, but I just wanted to mention that early application deadlines are coming out for Georgia Tech. At least I think it's October next week is the deadline sometime. I think it's October 19th or something like that. But so that's for Georgia Tech, but most other universities will have it around November 1st or the first week of November. So if anybody is like watching this and they're interested in our early admissions, I would definitely recommend getting your early admissions things together. Your college, whether you're using the Common App or the Coalition app or anything else, get those things sorted. And I guess I'll put the question to you guys. When you guys apply, did you guys apply early action or a decision or regular? What do you guys do with your application? Because I know for me, I applied early action, and I think that had a great impact in terms of me actually getting into Georgia Tech. So
yeah, absolutely, Vilv. I'm so jealous of you, man. I feel like I should have applied early action too, man. But first, before I begin answering this question, I just want to clarify something. Vilv mentioned 2 key terms here: early action and early decision. Now, these things are actually quite different. So early action, if I'm not mistaken, is you applying to a college or university before the regular decision. But what separates early action from early decision is that early action, if you do get into the school, if you do get accepted, you are not committed. You don't have to bind to that specific university. But early decision, however, if they admit you in the early decision round, it's kind of like an obligation, kind of like you being.
So I think the technical terms they use is binding versus non-binding.
Binding versus non-binding. Exactly.
You kind of sign a contract and say, like, if you're early decision, you have to go there if you get in. Sort of more. I mean, unless there's like financial problems or something. I think there's one or two reasons they'll try to understand, but it's pretty much if you get in, they'll you kind of have to go, and they try to accommodate for you if they actually
Yeah,
accept you into college. So yeah, that's basically the difference between early action and early decision in terms of in terms of the logistics part.
yeah.
Did you have anything else to add, or?
Yeah, for sure. And I was just gonna say that so this is like for all the prospective students who are actually listening to this episode. When you're applying for college, in the application, just be careful. Make sure you all know the difference between early action, early decision, and regular decision. Now, going back to Bill's point earlier, I if the college or university has an option for early action, I would say that would be my recommendation. Go straight for the early action because I see no downsides, right? Number one, you get admitted early, so you get to find out whether you got into these schools early. And number two, oftentimes the resources are similar to FAFSA, first come, first serve. So I guess I'll share like a personal thing, like real quick. So me, again, first generation, I didn't know about any of this, right? So I didn't put too much thought into my applications. I think all the schools that I applied for, I just applied regular decision, right? At that time, I didn't know the long-term effect that it would have on me. It wasn't until I got into the school, right? And then I realized, wait a minute, why am I not getting a lot of like financial aid, financial aid assistance? And the school clarified, well, a lot of our like full ride scholarships, a lot of our funding are reserved for the students who apply like early on, right? So I missed out on like several scholarships potentially that could have been like full rides for me, right? Just because of the fact that I did not apply during the early action. So again, my recommendation, if you are looking into applying for a college right now, go straight for the early action because there is no negative, right? Number one, you get in early, you get more opportunities in terms of like financial assistance, and it's not binding, so you don't have to go to that college.
Right. I think also in general, if you look at the statistics, early action actually has a much higher acceptance rate. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but I've heard that colleges usually want to fill up a certain level of they like to give people who when you're applying early action, you're giving preference to the college, right? You're showing that I really want to go that. So the college likes to sort of give back in many ways in the sense that they're more accepting of students who are applying to early action. At least that's definitely statistically true. Like more students get in early action and as well early decision versus regular.
Exactly.
It's also because less people apply early action, so you have less competition to actually get in.
Exactly.
So that's definitely something I will mention on top of that.
Yeah, for sure.
But
please don't be like me and apply late to a college.
Yeah, no, definitely. try to do early action, and definitely at the same time, I think figure out your FAFSA stuff if you're gonna apply early. So yeah, those are the two things. And I'm just gonna finish this episode off by going back to Famid and asking him, what's next for Famid Rakono Belt. I know you're transferring or trying to transfer to the Gators, the University of Florida. What's the plan? So what degree are you planning to pursue? Do you have any jobs planned out or any master's degree planned out? What's next?
No, thank you very much. No, yeah, I really, since as I said, I'm an international student, what I went with is I first went to because I'm starting fresh. I want to increase my circle and friend group here. So I started with a city high school and now I go to a county community college, right? So now I have a good alumni base within Broward County. So that's why my next step, a bigger circle, will be going for University of Florida, right? Go to the biggest state school. And I'm big on staying in state because even if you're an American citizen, if you go to an out of state school, at least for the first year, your tuition is higher than it should be, just because you're going out of state. But if you stay in state, your tuition stays low. Plus, I got lucky being in Florida. Florida has the Bright Future Scholarship. It's a scholarship that literally is made to keep Florida talent within Florida. Because if you graduate from a Florida high school with the Bright Futures, going to any in-state Florida university, you get a full ride, right? It's a cool thing. That's why right now, UF went from being a sports powerhouse, it became into an academic powerhouse because like we're not losing our kids to New York, California, right? Because those were the like big tech schools, like big good schools, like they're all staying here because they're getting a full ride to a university. Why would we pay somewhere else, right? So it's a good thing. So that's why, yeah, my next goal is like try to transfer over to University of Florida. Inshallah, that happens for me. As you asked me my major. I'm a computer science major, but I want to end up with data science at some point. And if I do, since I'm getting because of the scholarships, I really want to end up doing a triple major if I can with UF, where I do a computer science, statistics, and data science at the same time. Because like I'm not so keen about doing a master's at this point, but I want to have a good bachelor's and then get a job and maybe at some point get a master's. So yeah, that's why that triple major is very lucrative for me. But no, thank you for the shout. Like, thank you. I'm really honored to be on.
We're struggling out here with one major. This guy's like triple major, man. Can you hear?
Right, I'm trying to get like you, man.
No, yeah, I really know. I'm very motivated towards education because I know, like, as soon as I finish studying, like, the same thing happened. As soon as I finished high school, I knew that, like, I would just be more towards academics because I think I had more fun in high school than I did after graduating high school. I, like, stopped going out as much as I did. Like, I was more focused towards, like, having my grades good, things like that, right? So I know I'm going to be similar thing. As soon as I finish my bachelor's degree, I'll become very workaholic in a sense where I'm working until like I can slow down and retire. Like I know there's like this, I have like passive income, right? Things like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I know myself. That's why I know I'm gonna burn out.
No, I can definitely vouch for you, man. You're one of the most driven people I know, and definitely very smart in that respect as well. So I think what we're gonna do is, I think that's what we wanted to cover for this episode. Tune in next week again. We will probably try to have somebody else on. He's got a very, very interesting story. This is a bit of a spoiler alert, but I think this is it for this episode. Thank you so much for being with us on Barry and Vilv. This episode, we're the #1 college podcast. And let us know if there's anything you guys want us to talk to you guys about, like discuss, get people on who've had experience with, anything college related. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Spotify, follow our Instagram and TikTok pages as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Barry, do you have anything else?
Yes, sir, man. Thank you so much, Famid, for joining us today. We love you a lot, man, and thank you so much for sharing your personal experiences. I'm sure this is gonna be very helpful to other students, So thank you so much for that. Also, thank you so much for all the Barry and Vilv supporters that are tuning in today. We love you all a lot as well. Thank you all so much, and yeah, Barry and Vilv signing out.
Thank you guys for having me. Please check them out. They're amazing. I've listened to their podcast for the last 2 episodes. I think this was going to be a good episode and very informative. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming on, man. See you guys in the next one.